There is a new enemy, freaks of nature. Together, we will punish these creatures.
What the heck was that?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, today's video highlights the reason why Hollywood is afraid to take chances. Now, what am I talking about? TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, created by best friends Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman back in the early 80s.
Kevin drew a turtle standing on its hind legs with nunchaku strapped to its forearms and with a bandana-style mask. And he showed it to me. He says, "Hey, this is a Ninja Turtle." And I was like, "Yeah, great." And so I had to do my own version, and I changed just a couple of things.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, The Last Ronin, the violent R-rated comic book, which is meant to be a violent, live-rated, action R-rated movie, has been put on ice.
Like what you saw? Then give it up for a turtle!
Not that ice, you fools. I'm talking about this ice, you ice holes. On hold, hasn't been permanently cancelled like some people are implying. So we were going to get a live-action R-rated TMNT movie. How exciting would that be? And look, 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, directed by Steve Barron. And boy, that guy had a rough time working on that film. When you know the back history of that film, and by the way, if you saw my previous video where I go over Hard Boiled, the 4K edition, well, there's a 4K edition of TMNT coming out, which I pre-ordered already. So when that arrives, I'll be breaking it down, giving you a review and a bit of a history about TMNT, because I love those four guys: Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael. But honestly, when you actually see this story today, which I'm going to read to you briefly from Variety, you'll understand my frustrations about why we have such nincompoops running the corporate offices, or should I be orifices, of these film companies, or a particular film company, Paramount, who are just afraid to take chances. And with that in mind, folks, if you end up liking this video today, make sure you give it a like, comment below, and without further ado, let's do it, I suppose. Doing the do like Betty Boo.
Yes, hallelujah, it's the video show. And now, the man the BBC calls...
Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles R-rated movie, The Last Ronin, on hold at Paramount, because who else will it be, as studio develops a new kiddie-friendly version. Oh my goodness me, I can't wait to get into this. So, as Rebecca Rubin has stated here, Neil H. Moritz is in works to produce a live-action film similar to Sonic the Hedgehog, which has been a phenomenal series for Paramount, but honestly, I like the first film. I don't like the others. No other details have been confirmed, but Paramount reportedly wants a family-friendly take on the Turtles, which is utterly bonkers beyond belief. And I'll tell you why. Because when the original film was being made, they did some market research with kids, because at that point they already knew about the cartoons. So already there was a resonance between the kids and the animated cartoon heroes who love to eat pizza and hang out with hot April O'Neil. They loved them. So when the film was being released, there were already behind the scenes shenanigans. And when I get into those in the future video, folks, you'll understand why. But the producer of the movie, I think his name is Tom Gray or Norman Gray, one of the guys of the film, I think it might have been Steve Barron or somebody else, approached the kids and look, took them to the screening of this dark, PG, violent movie with nunchucks, which this stupid, godforsaken country called the UK wanted to remove from the film. It played it for ages. But the kids ended up loving the movie. So if anybody knows better, it's the kids. You can't desensitize them with things that they know aren't real. You just let them watch it and it's all good and sundry, right? But adults have to worry about, oh, we have to make kiddie toys. We want to sell everything. I've got news for you, Hollywood producers. kids ain't gonna buy the toys. It's their working parents who will buy the toys for the kids. With the kid-friendly edict in mind, Paramount is putting a pin in plans for the R-rated live-action adaptation of TMNT The Last Ronin, which the studio announced in 2024. Now, the guy who directed The First Nobody, Ilya Neshula, is in talks to direct, but sources say that the film remains in development hell as a project to revisit in the future, though it likely won't be anytime soon, which means it's in development hell. Because if they're phrasing it this way, it means they just don't want to touch it. Now, Walter Hamada, who used to work at Warner Brothers, was the guy that actually came up with this particular story, this, how shall we say, this byline into the TMNT, which you have seen before, but you probably won't realize you have. So there hasn't been a live action Turtles movie since the Out of the Shadows film in 2016, which bummed with $245 million against a budget of $135 million, which is insane to me. And again, we had a animation from Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, and the less said about those two individuals, the better, in 2023, called TMNT Mutant Mayhem, where they gave us a diverse version of April O'Neil.
Whoa. You guys don't really want to do this again, right?
Even more unfortunate to that, we've got a sequel of that coming out in 2027, which nobody's holding their breath for. And the funny thing, look, the reason why I talk about Hollywood is absolutely clueless about a certain property that's worth $15 billion, by the way. If you didn't know, it's crazy how much that franchise is worth. Again, when I do my 4K breakdown of TMNT, holy shit, man, the things I'm going to tell you will just blow your mind. But I wanted to show you the origins of the Turtles. They're not the cute and cuddly foursome that you know them to be. As this Ranker article states here, before the cartoons, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles used to just straight up murder people, which is true. So forget the Peters were just thrown in there to soften up their image a little bit. That's what it was. But yeah, these guys are straight out. They did not F around. And that shredder right there, these are really good. This is a reproduction, obviously, or a reprint of the 1984 Mirage Studio comic books back in the day. Have a look at this. 1984, the first print sold out $20,000. I mean, bro, if I had more than that type of cash lying around, I would be tempted to pick up this issue. I mean, back in the day, what would you have paid for it? A few cents, right? It's insane. Or if you were savvy enough, it's that word again, you might have bought more than one copy and put some aside. Can you imagine if people actually did that? That would be incredibly insane. So let's just go through some of the panels very quickly here, folks, because these are black and white, so YouTube wouldn't have a problem with me showing any potentially violent images. I don't know what's coming up, to be honest, so we'll have a look and we'll see. But look at that. I mean, for a guy like Kevin Eastman, who was into his comics, he loves Jack Kirby, like the Marvel stuff, Daredevil, Frank Miller. You can't blame him for being influenced by those stars. Look at this. This is incredible stuff. And look already in that last panel on the third page, with some guys getting knocked out. I mean, the artwork is absolutely stunning. Even stuff like this, where you've got, I don't know if that's Raphael, or yeah, it is Raphael, funny enough, just taking up comic real estate, no panel surrounding him, just stuff like that, which is incredible. But yeah, this is just monumentally, I mean, you can look at this, right, and see that it's got the feels of an underground comic. I mean, the DNA speaks for itself. Even Splinter right here, who's named after Stick from Daredevil, is just great to behold. Look at that. You even have an attractive female character that we see there very briefly. Yeah, can you imagine anybody that is sitting on this, or they might have it in an attic, This obviously reminds me of Daredevil, the way he would pose on top of a rooftop in New York City. Obviously, Spider-Man is the very other obvious nod there as well. But yeah, just going through these panels, man, just so detailed, so rich. Well, just incredible. Look at that. There's a Shredder looking really, really terrifying. I did like the first iteration of him in the 1990s film. I really did like that. Look at that. 2 pages, no dialogue, half a surrounding panel. It's almost like they couldn't be bothered to finish it and they just did their own thing. And yeah, in fact, if you don't know the story about Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman, they worked from their home. Their offices were their homes. It's funny, isn't it? Where we have now a culture of living in your homes and working from home. They were doing it back in the day, and £1,000 loan from one of the guy's uncles took care of them to produce these comics. Because if you weren't born and raised in the 80s, folks, like I was, well, I was born before the 80s, you would know things were cheaper then. But obviously, if you weren't having a second job or a part-time job, you wouldn't know what the meaning of money was or the value of it, right? So if you go back now, things were so incredibly cheap, and I wish that we would have that type of economy again. But sadly, the world is so futuristic. We're ruled by technology. We're ruled by so many other things that I wish we could just lose sight of for a few moments in our lifetime. It's just not going to happen. But that's the story, folks. That's the story, Morning Glory, to quote Oasis. People in Hollywood just don't have a clue what to do. It's all about, let's cater for the kids because that's what the kids want. I mean, you have R-rated films in the States that you can accompany your child to and watch with them as long as you're a supervising adult. So what's the difference between that in America and the difference to a kid being exposed to a violent comic, or even worse, the Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner movies, where every single episode Wile E. Coyote would just have the worst things happen to him? And I haven't seen any of those being rerun on normal daytime television anymore. You either have to resort to physical media or watch them on YouTube just to enjoy them all over again, because now those type of cartoons are problematic, aren't they? But anyway, folks, I thought I would cover this story for you because, again, I love the original TMNT films back in the day from 1990, 91 and 93. I will be doing a review of that 4K Blu-ray box set very, very soon, folks. And on that one, if I were you and if you were me, will you be having pizza in honor of our quartet of turtle-busting ninja dudes? Leave a comment below, smash that subscribe button, and I will catch you catching me for the return of the next video.
We were both huge fans of the underground publishing movement. You go back to Zap Comics, Robert Crumb, Kitchen Sink, Ripoff Press, Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. A lot of that stuff we had both seen and enjoyed in head shops and that kind of stuff you could find.
We realized pretty early on in our friendship that we each had strengths that complement the other.
I brought sort of the layout and the dynamic sort of Jack Kirby-isms that sort of paced out the story this way. He brought a lot of great subtle nuances to the story, certainly in the script, I think, more than anything else. And his artwork style was much more refined, much more detailed.
Yeah! I love being a turtle!